Hello, hello. It is John Binnie here, and I'm here to ask the aliens your questions. So thank you so much for all your questions, and they're super helpful in going through this journey with you. And I'm excited to both ask some of the general questions that you've been asking and then some specifics. So the first question, and I've got them on a monitor here so I don't forget. So the first question is, what is the latest alien news? And so to explain, I am a professional spiritual and psychic mentor, and I teach people to connect with their spirit guides, and their spirit guides are often galactic beings, so beings, aliens from around this universe, across space and time, and also including aliens that are from multiple different lifetimes, just like us. So, for example, one of my guides, Tara, her last lifetime on Earth was in Japan. Prior to that, she was also a Palladian. So, just like us, our guides, the aliens that we see around the universe, also have multiple different homes, just like us, through multiple different lifetimes. So I've set up a safe space already, and this includes creating a safe space and just inviting my guides. And so I'd like to ask one of my guides to step forwards to channel through me to answer the question about what is the latest alien news. And there's a little bit of discussion about whether it will be my guide, my Earth Elemental guide, Maya, or my Lyran guide, Eminshell. My Lyran guide, Eminshell, is going to answer, so he's like a lion being. There are so many changes at this time. Earth is changing. There are significant energies continuing to flow through the central sun, through your own sun, and into your planet and into your people. Some of you are feeling tired through these ascension waves. Others are feeling energized and activated. You may experience being called upon in your dreams, being called upon to remember your missions, being called upon to remember yourself as a child, reconnecting with friends when you were children, and also being called to follow your passion more and more. This is because the more in your joyful state you become, the more you ride these ascension waves more easily. Also, the latest news from the Galactic Federation is that we are making great progress in the releasing, the purging of negative, low vibration alien beings and also human energies from this planet. And this is a purge, this is a clear up of all those that don't serve the highest good or have the permission of the beings of Earth, including Earth, to be here. There's long ancestry between humans, Arcturians, Lyrans, Palladians, and a broader range, more recent interactions with Zeta, Avian, Mantis, and many more. We bring these galactic races, these alien races, to your attention because it is important to know that there is a movement with the Galactic Federation to introduce closer contact between Lyrans, Palladians, Arcturians, and humans. So the latest news, in summary, is please follow your joy, keep riding these ascension waves. Know that there is a purge going on. This will assist in the support and transition of Earth into splitting more apart the frequencies of third dimension and fifth dimension, and those that choose to be in the third dimension can choose to be there as the vibration continues to lower and step into greater fear, and those that choose to step into the fifth dimension of unconditional love, higher vibrations, and greater possibilities than you could ever imagined. And finally, we give you this message that you are not ruled by any being, even your beliefs in your God or gods. Know that you are unique, individual, divine, sovereign beings. And despite what world leaders, politicians, and others may tell you, and they will attempt to keep you in fear, know that this is the time of you realizing that you are truly sovereign, that it is your free will you get to choose in every present moment. We bring you this message, our latest news. Keep going, dear souls, keep going. Thank you. Thank you, Em and Shell, my Lyran guide. We drink some coffee. I find the process of channeling my guides fascinating because at points, it's like my consciousness steps slightly to the side, and at points I can hear myself saying the words, and I'll be thinking, oh, that's a word that, like a vocabulary that John would use, or I would say, oh, that's news to me, and it's a very trusting and very beautiful experience to have. It's an honor to be able to share these messages, and I would say from those messages, a lot of those have been like reflecting in my consciousness. In part because this is my spirit guide, Em Shell, who's one of the most verbal with me, and also that it feels like these are really important magical times on Earth right now. I also wanted to share that outside of the window right now, there's a lot of activity. I don't know if my camera will turn around. You can just see there's very blue skies. The activity seems to be jet planes flying around, and it's quite common, especially during like the working week here, that we have like Russian fighter jets will come over and like test our defenses. It's been going on for decades, and it's like testing each other's timing. So also just our own military exercises as well. And I just thought it was really funny that the action was kind of heating up a bit as I began this this Ask the Aliens video. Okay, so the next question is, how can we connect with aliens? And I'm asking that question, how can we connect with aliens, both metaphysically and physically? So just asking one of my guides to come forwards and answer this. Okay, and my mantis guide, Marita, is coming forwards. And she's referencing Andromeda, her time on Andromeda. This seems important. And we might also hear from my newer guide, Maesa Tara. Okay, so my mantis guide Marita is stepping into me now. You humans, we delight in your curiosity and your questions and your desire to discover, to focus on the stars at night and imagine in your mind's eye and in your heart what exists out there, what truly exists. It is true there is much suppression at this time. Some of the greatest suppression of Earth that's ever existed is being imposed upon you at this time. These are programs that try to keep your eyes away from the skies, to keep you feeling small and in fear, and really just focusing on your day-to-day lives. So to the question about how you can connect with aliens, first of all, you can do what John does. You can spend time practicing each day in a daily guided meditation or your own meditation, just setting the intention within a safe space to connect with your spirit guides. And it is relatively uncommon for humans at this time to have no spirit guides with galactic heritage. You will often have around 8 or 9, especially 9 or 10 during times of transition, just like John currently has 9 guides. So there's periods of time where you'll have more and less guides. They're always with you. They're here to serve you and work with you. And the reason for this galactic interest in humans, and therefore these agreements that each of your souls have participated in, allow you to be able to connect with these different beings from across the universe, because we're all intertwined. We're all interconnected. And this means that the Earth's ascension and your own individual ascension is coupled and tied to the ascensions of galactic races. So know that the more you ascend these galactic races, the aliens. You may notice we don't always use the word alien, and this is because of the meaning in English, meaning that it is from a different place, not from here, and yet we are very much with you right now. And yes, there are galactic beings, there are aliens on Earth also. So we also draw your attention to, in your meditations, for example, with John's spirit guide meditations, and he will give you the details of these, that in these meditations, you're able to really open up your heart. In these times of great fear and your heart being closed, this will make the challenge very, very difficult. If you can feel it right now, John's heart is open, almost completely fully open. And this is a beautiful gift because it allows you to be able to experience all of your abilities, to open up all of your senses and receive. Talking to your spirit guides is not a push experience. It is more asking a question, just as John does, and then sitting back and learning to receive. Can you imagine the journey John has been on, as he is hyper-productive a lot of the time, so he has to spend extra effort in receiving. When you ask a question, open up your heart, allow the answer to come in, first of all, outside of you, from your spirit guides, and then within you. John teaches this in more detail about how humans can work with these energies of the spirit guides, and know that you can also ask which of your spirit guides are from different planets or different origins from around this universe across space and time. And now to the question of physical contact. So there is a journey for each of you, and know that physical contact is already happening, and it is a progression. Each of you have your own unique journeys in your awakenings. And physical contact is a choice that your soul has made prior to your lifetime, and also can be made during the lifetime. And just like when you invite guests to your home, your alien, your spirit guides, your galactic contacts, those that choose to come and physically visit you, are looking to make sure that you're ready to receive, first of all. So these next meanings that I explain are meant in the physical and metaphysical. The first is having a happy, healthy home. Stepping out of your fear and feeling ready and grounded with a regular grounded practice. And perhaps, for example, regular meditation, dancing, yoga, tai chi, qigong, a whole range of different practices. Any of these that allow you to have a regular ritual within your day so that you always find that calm and that inner peace and that ability to receive. Keeping your home clean and tidy and decluttered is important because you are receiving guests, and your guests will not arrive or not want to come in to your home if your home is messy and cluttered. Your home is also the meaning of your heart. Having an open heart that's clear, that feels loving and high vibration, this is more likely to attract in your physical contact with aliens. Next, making sure that your fear is to a minimum, or potentially what may feel like eradicated for some of you. So being fearless is so important. You'll begin your contact journeys often with connections, for example, through dreams, through meditations, through different signs. You've seen a lot of this pattern in different movies, and I'd encourage you to reflect on these movies. This is not a build-up alone for the drama or introducing concepts into the storylines of movies. It is very much an energetic practice also. It is a practice of showing you signs, numbers, clouds in the sky, and then progressively, as you invite these and celebrate these, starting to see UFOs, UAPs, clouds of different shapes and sizes that look more like UFOs or spaceships, motherships, seeing lights and asteroids, seeing inexplicable behavior from what may be satellites or Starlink. Whenever you experience these, and if your intention is to continue to experience more, then please open up your heart and say, thank you so much, thank you, beautiful, thank you so much, and allow this gratitude to extend to these visitations and signs that you have. Next comes preparing the ground in the area that you're around, that you live in. So perhaps you'd like to consider an area physically where you'd like to invite your galactic spirit guides, your aliens to visit. This may be a ground, it doesn't need to be particularly large, but it's helpful if it's an area of ground that you walk on a regular basis. It could be a nearby garden, field, it could be a street. Know that your alien friends, they are able to visit through different dimensions and also cloak themselves to specific humans. And they may also, as they do in the sky, show themselves as different objects to others. And then finally, when you're ready to experience the face-to-face contact, and many of you are already going through this and have been going through this in dream time for many years, is to know that what your galactic and alien brothers and sisters are looking for is to make sure that your heart is open and that you're able to cope in with reasonable and manageable amounts of shock and surprise when you are in their presence. And this includes familiarity with their size and shape, their mannerisms, knowing that some are humanoid and some are variations of humanoids and some are not humanoid, and allowing yourself to open up to feeling the energies. When you greet your alien counterparts, we encourage you to open up your heart and begin speaking with your heart. Almost all of the races that visit Earth at this time have telepathic capabilities, and so being able to speak with energy first is hugely important. And they will not come too close to you if you're not feeling open, if you're not feeling in a love state. And when you are greeted, just as you are greeted metaphysically, say thank you, say it's beautiful that you're here, and to welcome. Welcome them to the spaces that you have chosen for these visitations to happen. And finally, do not be jealous of others. Others will experience these different contacts in lots of different paces, in different places, in different ways. Some will never achieve the face-to-face contact because they're simply not ready and their soul has not chosen it in this life. And you may experience, just like you see in John's life, in his home, in his family, a constant seeking of foundations and strength and grounding and stability. This allows for greater expansion of John so that he can reach out and connect with other beings more easily, and including face to face. So perhaps as we finish this answer, imagine there was a knock at the door. How would you feel if there was a galactic brother or sister at your front door? Would you feel ready to invite them in? Would you be ready to discern whether you should invite them in? Do you feel ready for this contact? This contact is happening for many. And although it's not in your mainstream media yet, this will become undeniable over time. So know that whether there are fake attempts at alien contact or invasions or not, know that you are in charge of your reality. You're the one that is deciding your level of contact with your galactic brothers and sisters. So whatever feels right for you, whatever resonates with you, I guide you to follow this feeling. Just asking Marie to step outside of me. Thank you, Marita. It's really funny hearing yourself talk about yourself in the third person. John does this, John does that, and I really resonate with it. I also have a fantastic guest tomorrow called UFO Girly, and we'll be talking about her contact experiences. And it's just, I'm really looking forward to that, to find out more. And let's go on to the next question. So I'm just going to, there's loads of light, so it's quite hard to read my screen at the moment, loads of reflections. So this is from Angela Kia Hunter, 8128. And you said, "Hi John, what can you or your guides tell us about the Voynich manuscript? Does it provide helpful information about remedies and cures, or is it related to evil spells and rituals? How can humans crack the codes and understand it?" Wow. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Voynich manuscript. Just before the video, um, I just went into a Google search and it took me into Wikipedia. And my guides were asking me what they wanted to do was for me to start to see some of the illustrations of it. And so to give you a little bit of history about it, and I'm just reading this as you can tell. So the first confirmed owner was George Berish, and this was a 17th century alchemist from Prague, and the manuscript is named after Wilfrid Voynich, and the Polish book dealer who purchased it in This was the Polish book dealer who purchased it in 1912. The manuscript consists of around 240 pages, and there's some evidence that some are missing. Text is written from left to right, and some pages are foldable sheets of varying sizes. Most pages have fantastical illustrations and diagrams, some crudely coloured, with sections of the manuscript showing people, unidentified plants, astrological symbols, and more. And then it goes on to talk about people that have gone on and studied it, including American and British code breakers from around the world and other people from around the world. So I already had a little bit about this come through, so I'm going to ask my guide, one of my guides, step forward and answer some of these questions about the Voynich manuscript. Okay. So after a little bit of a sweep around my spirit guides, my lowest vibration spirit guide, Marek, he's going to step forwards and help share. Thank you for these questions. There are many manuscripts across this world. These manuscripts are just you would say, the tip of the iceberg. There are many more manuscripts in vaults, some undiscovered, many in the Vatican, others captured during the World Wars. These manuscripts, it is true, contain great knowledge and wisdom. I would like you to feel into now the energy behind these manuscripts. So the modern day versions of these may include videos or experiences, demonstrations of people who can channel other beings, other entities. And the Voynich manuscripts are very much part of this. This was a journey in the creation of this manuscript where there was channeling done through some higher vibration beings, so just a bit higher than the baseline, if you like, in the third dimension at the time. And also, if you're curious why I have stepped forward to John, also some lower vibration beings, lower than the vibration of the third dimension at that time. And you could describe them as being in the upper vibrations of what you would call the underworld or hell. Why is this important? Well, first of all, there's no judgment, just as John quite proudly introduces me as his lowest vibration guide. Know that on this journey of trying to understand and decipher these codex, these manuscripts, to focus on the energy behind them. In fact, over time, if you were to study the actual contents, including the measurements of manuscripts like this, they are kind of wrapped in like a quantum field, and they change constantly depending on the vibration of the planet and the observer at that time. And this is because they're kind of like a form of code, a bit like your computer programs, or more closer to something like an artificial intelligence. So they are a form of energetic technology that allow the continued expression of a message or series of messages and codes to be received by the recipient, and they also adapt to the consciousness of those that choose to try and decipher them. And so, to the specifics of the question, yes, there are some more negative spell aspects to this manuscript. And there are also higher vibrations, including otherworldly, so galactic and alien influences that assist with great wisdom that would assist many people. The average or mean energy of these manuscripts are around the neutral space within the third dimension. Just know that neutral can often be referred to as negative, a bit like if you're neutral about whether someone died or not. It doesn't mean that you're good or bad, you're just in the middle. So will humans decipher this? Yes, but it feels like you will need work of an energetically sensitive psychic, healer, someone that has great knowledge of the occult and also of the higher vibration practices, and that ceremonies would be required to decipher this. What I would say is that whilst these are mysterious and intriguing, and they are physical evidence of our past, the amount of effort required to decipher this may be better spent creating future versions of this. So asking more about what the intentions were in the creation of these manuscripts, and then applying those intentions to the modern day and connecting with modern aliens and galactic beings, and if you chose to, lower vibration beings. We just ask that you proceed with any of this with great caution. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I must admit, out of all the guides, I found Marek's made me feel the dizziest because his vibration is much lower, but it's really beautiful. And how to describe him? I love the fact that he's able to talk really clearly and very helpfully. And then the last question is from P-UW1QU. Is that a Q or a G? It's hard to read. So this is actually from a different video when I was creating boundaries, but I thought I'd bring it into this one and ask my guides. So the first is saying, great teaching and very good examples. Thank you, John. Thank you. Is it possible to talk about guilt in general? And also after setting boundaries? Much love and gratitude. Thank you very much for your question. So I'd like to ask one of my spirit guides to come forwards and talk a bit more about guilt, please. Okay, so my guide Maya, my earth elemental guide, and She's reminded me she also has many lifetimes for thousands of years on Andromeda. Okay. So first of all, I'm just going to let Maya step into me and talk through me. Thank you for your question and the honor of being able to step forwards to John at this time. So the context of boundaries and guilt in connection with boundaries. Firstly, you deserve boundaries. You have a divine right to sovereignty. This is all parts of the enforcement and support of your divine, your universal right to free will. Because it is difficult to have free will and even harder to execute it when you don't create boundaries around yourself from within which you safely feel that you can act and create those boundaries, defining them and taking actions upon others that choose to test or to compromise your boundaries. So, for example, John spoke at length, John, about boundaries and working hours. He spoke about two examples that I would like to bring up. One is John spoke of setting clear boundaries about when you finish the end of your working day, setting this clear boundary with others. Now, what if others choose to continue to test that boundary? Well, you get the right to say yes or no. You get the choice to agree to or not to agree to the breaching of your definition of your boundary. For example, if you're asked to work later than a boundary of 6 p.m. Now let's talk about guilt. So the first is that you may experience any range of emotions. And if you think about, first of all, if you truly love yourself, so if you have an open heart, you feel happy and supported in love, if you feel that you cultivate your self-love and self-care each day, and that you do so with strong boundaries, with these strong castle walls around you, know that boundaries are an act of self-love. And so what is guilt? Let us reflect on this feeling now. So if, for example, John is to say that his working day finishes at 6 p.m., but in his old job, for example, he could not attend a meeting, and therefore his colleagues would have to perhaps struggle without him in that meeting, would he feel guilty? Or in his current role, if he said to a client, no, I cannot offer you a healing after 6 p.m. because I only work to 6 p.m. UK time, would that person then have to wait a further perhaps 24 hours before or thereabouts before they could experience healing from John? And would John experience for both of these examples a degree of guilt? Well, we first of all bring you to the example of anger. And the reason that I share the emotion anger with you is that when you feel angry, it is a bit like drinking the poison of your own negative feelings towards someone else in order to try and punish someone. And yet guilt is really the other way around, where you're trying to take on the emotions or your projection, your imagination or your illusion of someone else's emotions, and then hold that inside of you, take on their energy and try and process that yourself. And to be clear, you cannot love for other people. You cannot process their anger or their trauma in any way. It is only the individual that can process their own trauma and their own experiences and their own emotions. And so it's a little bit like trying to love for someone else. You cannot guilt your way to solving problems for others. And so we recommend that if you ever experience the feelings of guilt, For example, someone's having to cover a late meeting for you, or someone could not receive a healing from you that day. We encourage you to say to yourself, well, I created this boundary for a reason. What was that reason? When I have strong boundaries, how do I feel? Do I feel like it's an act of self-love, of self-care? And then also think for a moment, as you reflect on these emotions of guilt, how does the other person feel? If they are in a more compromised position for some reason, or they are suffering somehow due to directly or indirectly to your boundaries, it is important for them to have their own boundaries. We ask you to treat each other with love and respect and compassion for each other, but know that you cannot feel for one another. This is for each being to process individually. And so sometimes what might happen is if you trigger one of your boundaries towards someone, it may then trigger their boundaries to someone else. For example, in the case of a meeting, someone that couldn't attend a meeting with John at a specific time may then trigger their own boundary and say, well, I will not have this meeting without him, and I will arrange a suitable time that meets the requirements of all parties involved. If it was a healing, for example, the choice may be, well, this healer of John is not the healer for me. Or there may be a decision to wait and to respect the boundaries of John. We encourage you to navigate this challenging human spectrum of emotions. Every experience you have, every emotion is an energetic lesson waiting to happen, waiting to be processed. So whenever these feelings come up, please see them, feel them, and allow yourself to gradually heal them, never denying the experience and always seeking ways to demonstrate your own self-love and self-worth, and also to be able to extend love, kindness, and compassion to other beings. And with this, we thank you. Okay, thank you, Maya. That was a lot. I don't know if you've noticed. one big thing when I'm channeling is I can talk a lot easier. John's talking is always like, I talk quite fast like this, and then I'll have some breaks and some pauses, and then I'll talk again like this. And it's really funny. It's like this constant stream. I feel like my higher self has a lot to do with that. My higher self is doing a lot of work. These higher aspects of me, especially my crown chakra and my soul star chakra, when I'm channeling, there's much more of an even flow. And I guess in many respects, you're also experiencing channeling isn't always completely pure, right? My guides are using my voice, my vocabulary, although some words are new to me or some are like dug up out of my kind of the library of the words that I know and push forwards. But yeah, that was a really beautiful experience. Thank you so much for the honor of being able to answer your questions. And I would like to ask you for more questions, please. I love answering your questions, and it's a real honor to connect with my guides. And that's right, one of my guides, was it Marita? Yeah, my Mantis guide, was interested in me sharing details about how to get started, like learning how to do all this yourself. Because it's one thing seeing someone doing it, right? And I hope that you get a feeling, like the feeling what it feels like inside of me. I try and make extra effort to be as transparent and as vulnerable as I can and as human, right? Because I know a lot of even like friends and family would watch me doing this and think like, he's crazy. It's true, I am crazy, but just as crazy as every other human on the planet. And so I just choose to practice this, right? So you can engage with so go to johnbinnie.com and you can visit the training menu page. And in there, you'll see my free, absolutely free, no cost, 14-day spirit guide meditations. And in there, you practice talking to your spirit guides amongst many other things. And you do it in a safe space, so creating protective spaces around you with clear intentions. And you begin to start connecting metaphysically. And then I'd also encourage you to just have a look at some of my other services, see if they resonate with you. You can join my membership group. We meet twice a month on Zoom calls. We also do a lot of activities and helping each other in daily in our in the app. I have an Android app, and you can access an app on your iPhone as well, or use the web pages for accessing it. And then also my higher self foundational training, it closes tomorrow. So if you're interested in learning how to talk to aliens, and we do exactly that in my higher self foundational training just towards the end of the 8 weeks. And I'm excited tonight because I know in the intermediate training, which is just coming to its end, that we'll be doing a more advanced version of that, like talking different light languages to different galactic beings, which is a lot of fun. And then finally, I hope that this video finds you well. Thank you for joining me for the 40 or so minutes. And please look after yourself. Drink plenty of water, get plenty of rest. And whatever you do, follow your joy. And I hope that it helps you open up your heart and explore more. If you have more questions, please put them in the comments to any of my videos, and I will collate them and put them into my next I Ask Aliens Your Questions video. Thank you so much. Take care. Sending love from Scotland.